You to feel good and look good, and who wouldn't want some of that? All that and more from the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Stories, songs, and guests. Begin living the organic good food life, and the rest of your life just may be the best of your life. Always up, baby, to your health.
On Saturday, February 27th, Seattle Local Learning Center, a nonprofit, A for Apple Learning Center, will spread the warmth by giving away new winter coats and books to children. We know that warmth is created in more than one way. A warm coat brings physical warmth, the gift of community brings warmth to our spirit, and the knowledge that someone cares brings warmth to the heart. A for Apple Learning Center has served the community for over 25 years and is dedicated to supporting and connecting families to essential resources in our community.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics important to you and impacting the community. Each show will have a special guest or guests to share with you information on a variety of subjects that are happening here and now in Seattle. I promise I will work hard to make my show informative, interesting, and entertaining. Be sure to listen to Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
You probably have questions about COVID vaccines. Here are some answers about how they're being made.
How are COVID vaccines being produced faster?
Usually, vaccine testing and production are separate steps. But because of the pandemic, vaccines are being developed on parallel tracks. So both steps are happening just at the same time.
How are the vaccines being tested?
Right now, several different COVID vaccines are in testing. Each go through multiple clinical trials with up to thousands of volunteers.
How do vaccines get approved?
Not all COVID vaccine versions will make it to the final stages of testing and approval. Produced vaccines that do not pass clinical trials will be destroyed. But for those that do pass, a team of medical experts will examine test results and possible side effects. If the vaccine is effective and safe, it gets approved and gets to you. Go to covidvaccinewa.org to learn more. A message from the state of Washington.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
You're listening to Heartbeat Radio. I'm your host, Cindi Bright. Heartbeat Radio is a conversation aimed to take the pulse of corporate America. Opportunities for people of color, we're getting lost in the shuffle of change. I'm that provocateur of change. The hearts of corporate America are addressed. Access and opportunities will be accelerated for all people. Through Heartbeat Radio, you will gain a deeper understanding of what is necessary for change.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Heartbeat Radio. I am your host, Cindi Bright. We have a great show lined up for you this evening. Let me just, before I introduce everybody, let me just start off with a couple things, as I can see my hair sticking up here. Whoever thought doing radio would be on camera. Hey, we have a conversation today. We have a group of people who are here to talk with us about Black women's leadership and running for office. Can you see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to get my hair intact here. Knowing that every week we are discussing these issues around brown and Black people, I wanted to let my listeners know that this past week, many of us leaders behind the scenes met and talked about the myriad of positions, several hundred positions that are up for re-election right now this year in 2021 and the upcoming 2022 elections. And we're planning. And we are planning because we need to unseat people who are not serving our community, and we need to get newly elected people into office. Before I introduce everybody, I want to show a quick reel because there is a concert coming up this Saturday. Opportunity Leadership Network is putting this concert on, and this is a fundraiser to raise money to get Black people of color, BIPOC people into elected positions. Let's take a look at the reel real quick, and then I'll introduce in the leaders for this organization. That is so awesome. Let me introduce first and co-host Joy Stanford back on with me this week. Joy's there. Hey, girl. How are you?
I'm every woman. I love that. It's going to be jamming. It's going to be jamming.
Let's introduce in the two founders of Opportunity Leadership Network, Shasti Conrad, Dr. Tracy Williams. Welcome in both Dr. Tracy and Shasti. Welcome on to Heartbeat.
Hello.
Let's also welcome in the communications PR firm. Our fabulous Kakela Hall is here with us too, who's promoting this. Welcome, Kakela. And then last but not least, we have the leader, the executive director of the organization called Phenonimal SHE. Her name is Carlecia Bell. Welcome, Carlecia, to Heartbeat Radio.
Hi.
Can we see everybody? I can't see Carlecia. Daniel, I don't know if you can readjust the screen in any way so we can see her. I can see the other four ladies. But look,
all the stuff on the screen, but that's okay.
Let's talk about this concert this weekend. Let's start with Shasti. You and Dr. Tracy, you are the founders of Opportunity Leadership Network. Let's talk about what the mission of the organization is, why you started it, where you're taking it. What are you trying to do with this concert this weekend? Let's start there.
Sure, yeah, it's so great to be with both you and Joy, who have been board members and helped us bring all of this to fruition. So thank you so much. Really, it started last summer as part of a response to the sort of racial justice uprisings and the Black Lives Matter movement. One of the things that we really thought would be a way to address, institutional barriers, racism would be to support these Black women candidates that were running for Washington State Legislature. Joy was one of those women. And through that work, one of the sort of ancillary benefits that we hadn't fully planned was that, we were raising money to support them. But what that also did was it brought the women together. It brought this amazing crew of really powerful, strong Black women and women of color together. And just building that network and that support system, I think, really helped to move the needle, helped to help them get into office, but helped them really feel like they had power to be able to make some of these changes that they were campaigning for. And so then the Opportunity Leadership Network came out of this realization that we really needed to start the process of developing a leadership pipeline for women of color, with a particular focus on Black women, and building the network and the cohort to really support in whatever endeavors and whatever sector these women chose, but really building a support system for that. And so that's kind of where this started, and here we are.
Dr. Tracy, you have been one of the you're one of the co-founders, and you have been very active behind the scenes, working to help progress Black women too. Do you want to talk to us about some of the role that you're playing in this process?
Sure. And let me just give you a little bit of why I'm here. My family has long been involved in politics. My mom and my uncles have been on school boards. I have an uncle who was a senator. So growing up, I knew all the things. But when Erin Jones, who's a very good friend of mine, ran for the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction in 2016, she didn't get the kind of help that I thought any candidate should get. And I was furious that consultants and other people who typically work in the political space didn't help her. And she didn't have a group of women behind her. We just hadn't developed anything like that. So I went back to Walla Walla, where I live. I live between Walla Walla and Spokane, and developed a group of women. We support other women who are running. We did get Yasmin Bahena, who's a city councilwoman, into city council, which was just fabulous. Yeah, the first Latina in Walla Walla on the city council, Latina woman. She's a kindergarten teacher, so how great, right? She knows right there the cusp of what's happening with families and what's happening. And when Shasti and Mona called me about the opportunity work, I said, hey, of course I want to be in on this because it's the core of what I believe in. And one of my principles is that we need to be able to build resources for women. So money is one thing, but a network is something else that is really helpful. And then a third thing is really strategic resources. So some campaign training, some training before people run to help them get to where they want to be so that they don't like show up on filing day and not understand what's happening. And then some of the resources we're even using during this concert are things we're going to be able to turn around and use for our candidates. So we, for instance, bought into a social media piece where we can customize it and make it easy for people to send out their messages on social media. So I'm pretty excited. I think we've got a good start. And thanks so much for hosting the show. Really happy to be here with you.
Well, I will say, as a candidate and Cindi and I ran together in 2018, and then I turned around and wanted to do it all over again. The difference between running in 2018 and in 2020, the Opportunity PAC made that difference in so many different ways. But to know that I have the support and to know that you were supporting as many Black women to get into office as you could, it was phenomenal to have that, just that in the back of your mind, and have you guys right there walking hand in hand with us, supporting us and encouraging us and empowering us. And so I appreciate everything you guys did. And I will again say thank you from the bottom of my heart. So,
well, Joy, it was absolutely reciprocal. Your voice, your words were so inspiring. And when we listened to things you said even before you ran, we were like, how can you not be all in here? This is amazing. I wanted to run you for president, so that was
no thanks. No thanks.
Speaking of phenomenal, let's introduce in Miss Carlecia Bell, who runs an organization called Phenomenal Women.
Yes.
So let's welcome you on. Hi.
Hello. I'm happy to be here.
Phenomenal SHE. I introduced as Phenomenal Women. Let's talk about what you do. What is Phenomenal SHE? What is it that you're doing with them, and what is your role in the concert this week?
So, well, first off, Phenomenal SHE, our mission is to provide mentorship, encouragement, and empowerment to young women of color by building confidence around education, social awareness, and self-esteem. And we do that. We have programming 3 nights a week. We have a licensed therapist that provides culturally relevant group counseling. We have a STEM tutor, culturally relevant STEM tutor, that provides academic engagement and individual tutoring. And then we have life skills and development workshops in which we bring in culturally relevant guest presenters that teach them about life things that they don't learn in school. And as far as being a part of Opportunity Leadership Network Benefit Concert, we're so honored. Being a music lover, it's a unique opportunity to have us be featured in this, but then also, I mean, Shaka Khan, come on. I'm really excited about this opportunity. So thank you for having us. We're really excited to be here.
Carlecia, we're all going to be with our hairbrushes singing right along on Saturday night.
Let's get a badass PR firm up here speaking to Miss Kakela Hall, who is our communications firm here in Seattle, the bestest out there. And so welcome back, Kakela, onto Heartbeat Radio.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so tired, but you know what? It's worth it. But I don't know. I'm very excited to be here. I'm happy that back in the fall that Shasti and Mona reached out and brought up this idea. Initially, I thought I was coming in for 3 weeks to pull off something in October, and then it turned into where we are today, which I'm really excited about, and being able to see this concert hit TV this weekend and next weekend.
Yeah. Very cool. Very, very cool. It's so exciting to have all of you here, to have all these phenomenal SHEs in one place talking about what we're trying to do to get Black women into office. I mentioned when I started off that, several of us behind the scenes, there is a massive movement happening right now to get Black women elected into office. We have hundreds of positions that are open, the municipal positions, and we have a ton more coming open in 2022. And so we've been working to identify where we have problems and where we need to change out leadership. And so this is a great, great vehicle. And to all our listeners who are listening to this, we need money to pull this off. This is about getting funds so that we can pay. Dr. Tracy was right on when she talked about the starting off a campaign. I was one of the naive one who started a campaign with $0 in her bank account, and Opportunity Leadership and Opportunity PAC didn't exist then.
That's right. That was in 2018.
That was just 3 years ago now, right? Yeah. A lot has happened since then.
And we need candidates too, Cindi. Holy cow. We just need women to step up. And that's one of the reasons we want to be encouraging. Every woman who calls me and says, I'm thinking about running, I encourage the heck out of her. And I want to be able to make personal donations to their campaigns as soon as they get going. So yeah, encourage all your friends and neighbors to step up. Women can do this.
Women
and the cool thing is a lot of them don't know that they can even run for office and what offices are there to run for. And right now we've got several Black women that are running right there with you in Walla Walla, over in Spokane, over here on my side. Tracy Flood's running for judge. You know, we've just got some women who are stepping up, and I love it. I love it. And I love that you guys are going to be able to help them to empower them to do the work that they want to do and be of service to their communities.
Who are some of the women, Joy? You just mentioned Tracy Flood.
Tracy Flood, she's running for judge that I know of. There's a Black woman running for Tacoma City Council. Tracy, you might be able to help me out with that one, or Shasti. Running for Tacoma City
Betsy Wilkerson, who is actually the board
Spokane
president.
City Council.
Yeah, she's running for Spokane City Council. She's the board president for the Carl Maxey Center, which is one of the other beneficiaries that's featured in the concert this weekend. And so we're really excited to show the work. It'll be the first Black cultural center on the eastern part of the state, and Betsy's the board president for it.
Wow, I didn't even realize we had Black folks over there, let alone running.
Well, and in little old white Walla Walla, we have a Black woman who's going to announce any day that she's going to run for the school board. So I can't tip my hat right now, but we've been working with her for a long time. So
wow.
Yeah,
we've had several here that have recently announced. I know we have some upcoming announcements, like Hamdi Muhammad just announced here for the port. We should let's give a shout out to all the women we know here locally that have stepped.
Yeah, and Hamdi had a nice piece in The Stranger. Really nice piece on Hamdi.
Shukri is running for county council. Who else? I'm trying to think of who's coming.
Kim Convan is running for King County Council as well.
Mm-hmm. Brittany Donahue up in Snohomish County is running for county council. And we have a chance to make history because this will be the first time that a Black woman will be elected to the county council in Washington state ever. Last year, Carolina Mejia was the first woman of color elected to a county council. So there's a lot of we made history last year with so many incredible Black women getting elected to the Washington state legislature. But this year is another history-making year because we've got a lot of great opportunities at the local level, at county, city, school boards, to really make a difference.
Kiara Daniels is running for City Council Position 6 in Tacoma.
Okay.
Yes. So there's some push there. There's some good stuff that's happening in these municipal races for us this year.
Yeah. And there's going to be waves of announcements in the next couple of weeks. Even though filing's not till May, we've got some women who are prepared and are ready to go. Yeah. And the other thing, Cindi, I think that the whole business of county council is worth illuminating, maybe spending a little bit of another show on that, because I think during COVID, we all began to understand the power of the county council. The health departments are under the purview of the county councils, and there's all kinds of craziness that happened during COVID, and we need really strong people who understand how important these decisions are. So we want Black women in those roles.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dr. Tracy, because it, I continue when we talk about these different things on my show, I try to help educate listeners too, because I make an assumption that 3 years ago, before I ran for office, I had zero clue about all of the different opportunities that are there, and I would say that are necessary that we have representation in. I didn't pay attention to school boards and commissions and the port. I had to actually Google, what does the port commissioner actually do? I just know what the port does, but what do the commissioners do, right?
It's important work. It's really important work.
Yeah, it is. Well, and how amazing that Hamdi, who lived there in the Port District all of her life, will then be running for that. I mean, so amazing to have her step up in that way. And she is so well versed in the whole policies and procedures thing. I mean, it really helps that she's been working in Dow Constantine's office, and she's also working on a doctorate. I mean, this woman has really prepared herself to be useful in life and to her community.
Yes, Daniel, we just had a question from there it is. Let's see. Can we share the importance of why having Black women in these positions are historic and why it's needed? Who wants to take that question? I'll comment that. Why would it not be important right now, being that there is no representation? And so I think when you talk about what's happening in our country, there is a mobilization and a movement, and the lack of equity in any of the decisions that are being made about our lives have not been equitable. Does somebody else want to talk more to that?
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to the school board piece. The having Black women or Black people on school boards would have helped us balance out who tells the story of history, whose facts are told. And it's been the shame of the nation that we haven't had a realistic view of history. So I'm excited about the fact that we've got women who are going to step up this way.
And I would say for decades, we've been shut out of positions of power and positions of importance, and to bring our lived experience, who we are, what we've been through, along with our service attitude, our heart, to a position of power like that is important for good policy making. Hello.
Yeah. The other thing I will highlight is this past week, there was a bill that did not make it out of executive session, but there was a bill to do with the rent relief, and the proposal of that rent relief, I'm going to paraphrase how I read it, but was basically to put the burden of this pandemic on the backs of the tenants and all the people who are out of work. And had it not been that we had a woman of color who is Representative Millen Tai, we should give a huge shout out to her, that she stood up and ensured that that did not come out of executive session and get punted to impact Brown and Black communities. And that, if I'm summarizing why we have to have people, it's because if we're not there, look what's going to happen to us.
Exactly.
Right?
Well said, Cindi.
I would like to say the representation piece of it too. And it's like, we don't have a choice, because these new kids, they're not playing with us. So they're not going to have it where it's like things are unbalanced. And it's all of the kids too. It's not just like the Black kids or the kids of color. The white kids aren't having it either anymore. Like, people are not playing when it comes down to representation, this next generation. So if we don't want to see a big overthrow of like Gen X and the boomers in the next 5 years, as Gen Z continue to move into like the workforce and political positions, I mean, you have to have Black women. Black women have been making decisions for a very long time. And a lot of the work we've been doing has been underneath ground, and it hasn't been maybe respected. But at this point, nobody's having it anymore. So it's like, either elect Black women now, or in 4 years from now, Black women are going to be putting themselves in office regardless. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, jump on it now. It's important. We need the representation. Just like, back during the civil rights, we're having a whole nother version of that right now. So that's the reason why I think right now, the work that we're doing to highlight Black women, and let's look at it this way too. When Black women start moving up, then
we all start moving up.
Asian women start moving up, white women start moving up. So even if you wanted to selfishly think about yourself, when Black women move up, you move up too.
Yes.
Yep.
And their children have hope. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can I ask Carlecia a question about Phenomenal SHE? Do you take volunteers to come speak to these girls? I mean, there's a bunch of women on here that are doing great things.
Absolutely.
And I don't include myself in that, but what I would say was I would just come just to be in the room with, young ladies and answer questions and, just motivate them. So what can we do to help you?
So you definitely, we are definitely looking for women like you all to come and speak to our women, our young women. They need it takes a village. They need us.
That's right.
Additionally, we need mentors. We need mentors that are dedicated, that can help us in everyday life situations with these young women. They need someone that they can trust and talk to. And so I would say, if you want to get involved, go to our website. It's phenomenalshe.org and hit get involved. You can apply to volunteer. You can apply to become a mentor. But we definitely are in need of mentors. Ideally, we want to see our ratio of 1-to-1, because we know it takes some time and dedication with these young women. And so ideally, we would like to have that 1-on-1 ratio to mentor mentee. And so please consider that right now.
How many people do you have, Carlecia?
Sorry?
How many young girls are a part of your program?
So right now we have about 20 participants enrolled, but it's, it changes. We generally have about 20 at one time, because we are very hands-on with our girls. And so it's important that, thank you for, look.
I just pulled it up. I love that picture.
She's gonna walk us through that. Awesome. But generally we have about 20 girls at one time. And so we would love to have mentors. The unique thing and great thing about right now is everything is virtual. So, access is pretty much unlimited. So if you're available to meet via Zoom right now, then you are a candidate to become one of our mentors.
That's awesome. Yeah. I remember when I was a young lady, we had a thing in our community center when we used to have community centers. You guys remember that long ago. And we had a girls group called Kabibi Sahana. That was Swahili for Little Ladies Helping. And we loved that group. And I still remember that to this day. I remember the mentors. I remember it being where it was. I remember all the classes that would come in and talk to us and teach us and stuff. So thank you for doing this. This is good stuff.
It is.
Thank you.
It is. I want to, since we just have you guys on for the first half of the show, I wanted to make sure we got a couple things in. I want to make sure we, first off, there is a call out for 20 mentors right now. So that's why I was asking the question, how many young girls do you have? So we need mentors for these young girls. If you're interested in that, you can get a hold of Carlecia, or you can get a hold of myself, Cindi at cindibright.com. I'll make sure it gets to Carlecia so that she knows who is volunteering to do this work to help our young girls. And then I also want somebody to provide the link of how to donate to our concert for this weekend so that we can, as part of our fundraising effort. How do people do that?
They can go to www.opportunityln.com, or you can text OLN to 33339. So 4 3s and a 9.
Let's see, Daniel.
And donate.
That's right. So we can give to Phenomenal SHE in the Carl Maxey Center and the Lavender Rights Project.
All right, let's see if we can get, let's say that again so he could put it up on the screen, Shasti. What's the text it to? What's the number?
The text is you text OLN to 33339.
Okay, we got that, Daniel. 33339, and then text OLN, which is Opportunity Leadership Network, and that way you can donate through the. There it is for our audience to see. Very cool. And then we have the website, opportunityln.com. You can go on through that way as well. And then if you were paying attention, we showed you how to donate to Phenomenal SHE also. So Saturday night, what time is the concert on Kong?
9 p.m.
9 p.m. Pacific time, correct?
Yes.
All right. Any final words before we close off the first half of the show? And to our listeners, Joy and I will be back on the second half. We wanted to make sure we brought the leaders in our community on to highlight this. We're looking forward to seeing Chaka Khan and Andra Day. Any final words, ladies, before we go to commercial?
Thank you, Cindi. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk about it on your show. And Joy, you go.
Leadership Network, go ladies. Thank you guys for all of that. I'll see you on.
See you guys Saturday night from my house, my couch, with my hairbrush.
Everybody hold it right now.
Everybody is black. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo. Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainieravenue.world.
The 7th annual Jackson Street Jazz Walks virtual concert will be held February 27th and 28th at 7 p.m. It's free to the public with all donations benefiting the Central Area Senior Center. Join us for the Delvon Lamar Organ Trio, Eugenie Jones, Alex Dugdale, the Devon and Donovan Lewis Drumoff, and more. For more information, please visit jacksonstreetjazz.org. That's www.jacksonstreetjazz.org.
Join Rainier Avenue Radio from 5 to midnight for Sunday evening sound sessions. Jazz from the cabinets from Big Poppy.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Sergio LaCour's Love Lines.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Going to the phone lines. Hello, who we talking to?
Sage Prince and Just My Opinion.
This is Sage, and that's just about going to do it for the first half of Just My Opinion.
K-Fox Night Beat with Nasty Ness Rodriguez.
The beat of the Fox. K-Fox Night Beat, Nasty Ness.
You know what? You're going to listen from 5 to midnight. Just turn it on and don't stop. DJ Alibaba. The Underground Surround Sound Star Time with Paul Pearson.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pearson.
Sunday evening sound sessions on Rainier Avenue Radio. Trust me, you'll be listening the entire time from 5 to midnight. Sunday evening, your sound session on Rainier Avenue Radio.
This is the news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Simone Biles said she would not allow her daughter to be part of the USA Gymnastics setup following the organization's handling of the Larry Nassar sexual abuse scandal. Nassar, a former doctor for the USA Gymnastics, was given an effective life sentence in 2018 for abusing dozens of athletes in his care, including Biles. Biles has previously called for an independent investigation into USA Gymnastics' failure to prevent Nassar abusing young athletes over a number of years. In March last year, she said, quote, "How about you amaze me and do the right thing? Have an independent investigation." The 23-year-old said questions about the Nassar case still remain, The Guardian reports. Quote, "Just who knew what, when? You guys have failed so many athletes," she said.
And that's your news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
You're listening to RainierAvenueRadio.world.
That up in Saks, our favorite black businesses. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo.
Welcome back to Heartbeat Radio. I'm your host, Cindi Bright. Back on with me, the second half here is co-host Joy Stanford. Joy, wasn't that, let's see, are you still there? There you are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that awesome to see?
I'm so excited about this concert. I'm trying to get my sisters and my cousin just to get on with me on a Zoom, and I'll have it on in the background, and we're just talking and we're listening. And yeah, I think this is awesome. And there are not enough words to explain how I felt in 2020 running for office. You know the woes that we had, and I don't call them woes, but the issues that we had in 2018 around running for office. But to know that you've got, Opportunity PAC, Persist PAC, Emerge, all of these, and then all these women who were a part of all of those organizations, and even the women that are on the outline edges of those organizations, just always sending you notes of encouragement and things like that. It was a different spark in 2020 that really propelled me. And so hats off to.
I just think people don't realize, because I think people don't realize how much money it takes to get into office. And particularly when you're running against a system where all of the other folks have money.
When they start. We started at zero. When you said that, I was like, I gotta raise money. What? Like, I'm supposed to call people and ask them for money? How do I do that? I don't know how to do that, So yeah, so it's totally distant. Yeah, we're set up in a system that wasn't built for us.
Right. That's right.
It was built for my seatmates, but it wasn't built for me. And no disrespect to them. That's great, but for a Black woman, it is 10 times harder. It's 10 times harder to raise the money. It's 10 times harder to ask for support and to know how to ask for support. And, especially when you're not a polished or politician, You know, I'm just here being of service to my community. That's all I can say. I'm just here being of service to my community. That's all I knew, you know. So it was a different vibe in 2020 than it was in 2018 when both of us were running. So.
And I think another point worth mentioning is not just asking for the money, but the rate of the money that comes in. When donations come in for Black people, it's a fraction of the price or the fees that other, either seated or that they get. And so when you go look at, I try to help listeners know what the system is, because when you go look at the Public Disclosure Committee reports, you can see those on pdc.wa.gov. You can put candidates in, their names in, and you can look at how much they raised coming in and who's giving it to them. And so you could see.
Because here's the difference. What did you raise in 2018?
Like close to 50,000 on $25 and $50 increments, right?
Exactly. And no help.
No help
from the establishment.
Right.
Okay. I had a little help. So I raised closer to $200,000 only because I had help from the establishment. And then I turned around in 2020 and said, I got to raise way more than that, and raised 326,000
in your first race.
200,000.
Jeez. Yeah.
I had help, Cindi. That was not my $15 and $20, my ladies out, at Oyster Point who were sending me $15 a month, which that was to me the best thing ever. When someone's sending me their little $15 a month, $25 a month, that's awesome. Like that means they really believe in me, and that makes me believe in myself. So, but I had, help, big help. So, So, and then I turned around. I didn't even know how much I raised in 2020 till I had to go look the other day, and I was like, I raised $300,000.
And still didn't win. And so that's indicative of this whole system and what you're up against and PACs are designed, because PACs, political action committees, can donate more to a campaign than the rules say for single donators. So single donators can give you $1,000 in the primary and $1,000 in the general election. So but regular people don't have $2,000 to spare. And so, people like you and me were grateful for the $10 and $15. And people would apologize to me too. And I would say it's 5 mailers, right? Like, you give me $15
gets me 5 signs. Thank you. I appreciate that. If I can get a good deal because I'm buying a large amount. So $25, I'll take it. I will take it every day of the week. But you're right. It's a system that is not built. Well, that is built from the beginning with us not in mind. The system it did not have us in mind. And so when they say it takes, twice or 3 times to ask a Black woman to run, it is very true. They asked me over and over and over, which is why I didn't start that race in 2018 until March, April, and then you file in May. I'm already behind on fundraising.
That was me too. Right? In hindsight, look, it was a great, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today had it not.
Exactly. We would not be here together. Well, you and I, because we met each other doing that. So I met some of the best women in my life now. I've met some of the best friends that I've made over the last several years now. And so, I don't regret a second of it, win or lose. And I lost twice. So I think it's just made me who I am today. And look, our hands are not tied. We get to have this radio show, and we get to interview whoever we want, and we get to say whatever we want.
I remember when I met you, Joy. I walked into a room at I think it was the one.
We were in Capitol Hill. I don't know what that place was. We walked in because we weren't even sure we were in the right place.
All I remember is I walked in and I saw this whole slew of folks, and I saw you and Melanie Morgan over in the corner, and I just beelined right over to you because I didn't know anybody. I didn't even understand what all that was going to entail. And so, what a ride to do that and to.
It has been.
Yeah,
because no one tells you, go in this room and just start talking to people. Introduce yourself and start. No one told me that. So I was just like, hey, hi, I'm Joy.
Well, that particular event was eye-opening for me in a couple ways because I didn't understand some of the things that were going on there, but I got to experience firsthand one of the mean girls one of the gatekeepers who's trying to keep the brown and black people out. And she immediately honed in on me when I was standing in the crowd of a photo. And just what I call now typical politics. At the time, I was like, who is this person? And then she ended up running for a pretty prestigious role, and she didn't win. And I was glad to see that because she was somebody that shows her face in Black community and pretends to be somebody who's in our camp, but behind the scenes, she's sabotaging Black people. And so these kind of people is a little bit what I was saying earlier. Like, I'm glad that we have Opportunity Leadership and Opportunity PAC now, that we can compete with them now, that we don't have to take it lying down because we have money coming in now to help deal with those sorts of things, propel us forward, get our materials out there. Yeah.
And what a phenomenal thing for you to be able to say, I'm running for office, and a PAC immediately helps you.
Yes.
Whether it's with words, with money, with time, with volunteers, with that would have been so much for me in 2018 when I didn't know anything, because going into 2020, I had done Emerge, Washington, I figured out all of the things, and I knew, consultant, treasurer, fundraiser, hire your fundraiser right away. And so all of those things I figured out really quickly, 2020, but 2018 is deer in headlights.
Well, a good example, to the listener who asked the question about getting Black women into office, a good example of why that is necessary right now would be to highlight what just happened in Texas.
Oh, let's come on.
Let's just talk about.
First of all, you're on your way to Mexico, and girl's not even from your state, number one. Number two, she's not elected in your state, but she's raising money for your state. Someone said something on Facebook today, and I said, because it's the right thing to do. And two, we're helping human man. Hello, people. Hello. It doesn't matter where you're from. These are the people that need help in our country, and I'm going to go help them. And I love AOC for that.
That brown and Black women are used to being the people who take care of our families and our communities. We're not just sitting on the sidelines posting pictures of our vacations and in the sun. We are literally out in the streets making things happen that are for the good. You don't see that often by the establishment and the people that have traditionally been there. They're there to have their power and make all their money and buy all the other political opponents into their system so that they could protect their wealth.
So AOC, if you want to come on our show, right, Cindi, to talk about what you did in Texas, if anybody knows AOC, or hit her up on her Instagram, we would love to have her on for 10 minutes just to talk about what she did.
We keep trying. They tried to tear her down. It was just really.
They did.
What happens to us as brown and Black women is that we get questioned about why we are worthy of supporting or being elected.
Yes,
that's always a question. It's never a question for the white males. There's never a question posed about white males going into position of power. But as soon as Black people, Black women start to step up, then we get those kind of questions. Now, with her, within 24 hours, she had raised almost $5 million. And so when you look at I think brown and Black women are incredibly resourceful because we've always had to be. And we've always had to be. we don't live in the top echelons per se, right? Where
right.
it's flowing to us, or where I can't wait to see the tax returns that are due out any day now on national media from 45. We don't live like that. Like right. So yeah.
We know how to, make spaghetti when there's no spaghetti.
And so
we can make that happen.
Yes.
So we're bringing all those lived experiences as children or grown women with us into that. But it's about service. She was just like, where am I needed? This is what's needed. We need to do this now. We need to go there, whether they have electricity or water or not. If I'm going there, can I go there? I will have enough bottled water with me so that I can sustain myself, so that I can help the people that are in need. And, and Beto on the phone checking on people. Hello, isn't that just what you do? I'm like, come on, people, so
I'm hopeful that, as I look at some of the rhetoric going on now with Joe Biden's nominations, and the Republicans always want to put their selfish opinions about, themselves and what benefits them, and not thinking forward about actually helping people. That, I think, who is it that was on the first half that just mentioned about, I think maybe Shasti said it, about the young people, or Dr. Tracy.
Katie Hall said it.
Younger people, right? Like, they're never gonna tolerate. So this moment right now that we're in is between what was and where we're headed. And so all this activity going on, these PACs, the getting people elected into office, this is to take power, because it's been taken from us. And
we've never had it. We've never had it. And in order to get it, we have to mobilize and galvanize ourselves as a group. And she's right. The generations that are coming behind us, she's right. They're not playing. They're like, we need to address these issues now: housing, homelessness, climate change, jobs, equity, racial justice. We need to like now. There needs to be action now. And so, I sit in these Zoom meetings and I'm thinking, are we taking any action in our own communities, even if they're just baby steps? Are we taking some sort of action to move that needle? There we go, moving that needle. We've moved the needle on getting Black women and women of color elected and into office to bring about better policy. But now we need to move the needle even more on these issues. And the generations behind us, they are pushing. They are pushing the envelope. And I know our current president, President Biden, feels it. I know our Vice President Harris feels it. They know they're coming for you. Those kids, and they're like, we can be the youngest president, vice president. We can be the youngest governors and mayors and all the offices. We can be the youngest, and we can do this now. Even in my own district, we had a 20-something. I don't even know if he was 21. He may have been 21, 22 years old. Run for state ledge. Now, he didn't make it out of the primary, but you know what he did? He stepped up to run. So come on. I'm like, now we just got to keep continuing to encourage, like Dr. Tracy was saying, women of color and Black women specifically, run for office. You can do this. Soccer moms can do it. Football moms can do it. Stay-at-home moms can do it. Working moms can do it.
It should be noted, the program you come out of, and I
Emerge Washington.
Just kind of checked in with Karen Besserman. She is the president of Emerge Washington, and so she's got a whole group of women of color in her session right now. And
this year's cohort
is very diverse.
It gives me goosebumps. I was so excited. One, to interview them, and two, to bring this cohort together. It is so diverse, and it is so rich with experience, both lived and educational, and grassroots and community, and just to listen to every one of, like Kiara Daniels from Tacoma, like the ladies from out in the Spokane area, just to listen to them, you hear their heart and you hear the real, genuine, authentic just desire to serve in the legislature, their communities,
and
locally.
Let's be clear that these elected positions, or at least the Senate and the House, are not highly compensated jobs. So you really have to have a heart for the work to do it. So people are not.
First of all, I didn't even know you got paid, Cindi, in 2018. I didn't even know I got paid.
Now the council. So let's just educate the audience a little bit, because it's just interesting. I didn't even know until this year. It explained some behaviors. King County Council pays substantial, so those jobs are.
Oh yes, county council, yes,
$150,000 range, right?
Yes, and those are six figures. But you're talking city council. You're talking a stipend.
Yeah.
At least where I live, it's a stipend.
Yeah. I'm not saying that to discourage anybody. I'm just
but you can do this, and that's why those are the folks that you need to know that going in. You know, at the Ledge, we were only going to get what in 2018? I think it was 54, either 52 or 54,000 a year.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh,
it's technically not a full-time job, technically, but it really
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the folks who are elected have jobs that they take a leave of absence and then they go back to, which is why a lot of attorneys and folks like that in leadership roles can do that.
Yeah.
But if you're not in a job like with a leadership role, that job may not be there when you get back. So.
Right.
But it's worth every hard work. It's worth every door you knock, mile you walk, phone call you make. And let me tell you, making, 65, 7,800 calls this last election. Come on now. This is what you got to do.
Oh boy. I know. Yes. Anyhow, it is exciting though, because you can feel the movement. You can feel it here in the state of Washington is happening. I feel like the elected folks are committed to, our leadership, the chair of Washington State, like they're dedicated and committed to making sure we progress folks in. We have a battle ahead of us because who's the Republican equivalent to Shasti Conrad that was just on? There's a guy named Shasti is also not just Opportunity PAC, but she is the chair of King County Democrats, and she has a counterpart by the name of Joshua Freed.
Yes.
Like that, who's one of those people living in alternate realities also, but here in the state of Washington, progressing and building a movement of more hatred. And so,
because here's the thing, we are not trying to take your place. We're not trying to eliminate any group of people.
But
we are trying
to eliminate us. They're trying to eliminate us. And so,
and we are not. We are just trying to make things better for our communities, our communities of color, our Black folks. We are trying to make sure that our Black men and women do not get killed by our police. That's what we are doing. Oh, and we didn't get to start. I had a quote. We did not get to start the last couple of weeks with my quote. So I want to make sure
this week, Joy?
it was Socrates today. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but building the new. That was my quote.
Indeed, that is powerful. Indeed, it is. And we are,
because that's what we're doing. We're not going backwards. Somebody said, well, we're going to go back to the way it was. No, we're not. We're moving. Thank you. I should say, I'll send it to you next time sooner. Sorry about that. But yes. I just think we are not going back to the old. We are building the new. And so we have to focus on that. And we have to make sure that we are focused on that. But join us for the concert. Cindi, we got to make sure we make the concert Saturday. I think we have a date too.
I will. It's 9 o'clock at night, which well, I think I'm seeing you on
Saturday. We're having a date. Don't we have a date Saturday?
Saturday night. That's right. It's at 6, so I should still be awake.
Yeah, okay, good. We'll just tune in on our phones from wherever we are. So,
yeah it should be really good. Yeah. I'm excited about that. Yeah. I'm, as you're talking about the building the new, some of these things that have been floating in the system for, years.
Sonoria loves my quote today. Thank you, honey bunny.
Some of those things that have been floating out there, the $15 minimum wage, the I know Joe Biden's not going to do health care for all. He's just going to improve Obamacare. But good Lord, hopefully we can get some movement with this building the new of something very different that is actually going to support us. And I'm also hoping that Governor Inslee does not put the burden of this crisis on the average person, that we start to figure out ways that for once somebody else shoulder the burden of what has happened.
We have some great reps that are doing good work around taxes. So the wealth tax, the capital gains tax looks like it's got some movement.
I saw
something I saw before we came on air was we found over 100 parents of some of the children that were separated at the national level. You saw that? Oh my gosh, I was so excited to see that.
There's something else I read about Mark Mullet, how he cut off something today that was really important. It was they diluted a bill that was on and he's a Democrat. He's the Dino, I think, the Democratic name only kind of person, but diluted one of the bills that they were trying to get. It might have been to do with the rent relief. I can't remember it offhand, but I remember looking at it and just thinking, another white male who is sitting at the helm by the stroke of a pen, creating harm to people.
The broadband. We had 30-something people, I think, vote no against the broadband bill. Hello? People in rural areas, the kids who need the internet. Really? Oh my goodness.
It's just, these folks just got to go. We just have to have our list of all the people that we need to unseat in 2022. Just check them off and get them out of these seats and put people into these seats that are actually going to do something. And I'm just saying, these career politicians who have been in these seats for 15 and 20 years and continue to talk about, well, it's a hard process and, it takes time and, our families are being shot in the street. So I'm sorry if we don't have another 15 or 20 years to wait for nothing to happen. So another one added onto the list, check, we got to remove them, right? And that's just what we have to do, is just stay diligent to making sure that people who are not taking care of other people are no longer seated. Period.
And I think that's where the fear comes in for a lot of folks. And I would say for women, particularly Black women, do not be afraid to run against someone who may have the same letter behind your name, their name. Do not be afraid of that. You cannot be afraid of that. You have to go out and do that. And if nothing else, what you're doing is you are showing what is happening and how you will do, what your skills will progress forward the issues and take with you the lived experience that you have to make change for our communities and for our brothers and sisters.
What you're saying is that do not be afraid to challenge a seated Democrat if you are a Democrat, because we need to make some changes. We're out of time, Joy. I knew it. Get rid of
it. Already? No!
Yes, to our listeners, thank you for joining us tonight. Please, please, please make sure you join the concert on Saturday night, that you make a donation to this leadership network so we can get folks into office. Rainier Avenue Radio is going live next at Columbia City Theater for the last of Black History Month. So thank you for joining us tonight. Joy and I will see y'all next week. Have a good week, everybody.
See you Saturday, Sam.
Okay, Joy.
I'm rooting for everybody that's Black. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's Black. Yo.